Happy holidays.
From all of us at People Are Talking.
Okay.
I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't know.
Good morning and welcome to a special holiday presentation of People Are Talking to celebrate this festive season and to give ourselves a chance to enjoy some holiday celebration. Ann and I are taking the week off.
But our holiday gift to you is a week's worth of our favorite shows from the past year. All you have to do is sit back and enjoy as we present the very best of 1988.
Now, this morning's show is with the one and only Shirley Temple Black. She was one of the year's most requested for a rerun. So get ready for our visit with America's Sweetheart coming up right now.
Live from San Francisco, it's Channel 5's People Are Talking with Ann Fraser and Ross McGowan.
Good morning. Welcome to People Are Talking.
Well, our guest this morning was probably the most famous child in the whole world. In the 30s and 40s, she was America's sweetheart and #1 movie star, and all at the ripe old age of 7.
When they're inside me where it's dark, I walk around like Noah's Ark. I stuff my tummy like a goop with animal crackers in my soup.
But behind all the Hollywood glitter for Shirley Temple, there were studios that often exploited her. There were directors and actors who made sexual advances toward her. There were the threats of kidnappings and assassination attempts. And her transition into adulthood could have been a disaster, but she made it with grace and style. Join us this morning while we have a wonderful hour of recollections with the one and only Shirley Temple Black.
This is a chair for short people. How do you sit in that?
We designed all the chairs for Ann.
Oh, great. It's just heaven. Can I take it with me?
You can.
As you know, Ann and I have been doing the show for 10 years, and we've tried for 10 years because you live close by.
I've been watching you for that long,
Have you?
and
Good.
you just are super, both of you.
Let me get a microphone.
We
on
love
here.
you.
Being the professional I am, I forgot to put my
I'll
microphone
do the show. Don't worry,
He
Russ.
got real nervous.
I am
Shirley,
mic'd with a beautiful, huge
go.
butt.
a battery pack.
Yes,
Ann,
a battery pack.
Ann was talking about 6, 7 years old. You were the #1 movie star in the country. I think like 4 years in a row voted that. Did you have any idea of the power of Shirley Temple?
No, I started working when I was about 3 and a half in films, and I thought it was a very normal childhood, and I was very pleased. I didn't realize anything about fame.
Now, you dedicated this book, Child Star, to your mom.
Yes.
Your mom was really the one who got you into the business. Was she a stage mother as we think of stage mothers?
She wasn't at all. No, she was, then we called them housewives. Now we're homemakers, right? And she had 2 boys, 12 and 10 years old when I was born. And she put me in a dancing school, Mrs. Meglin's, when I was 2 and a half, because I had so much energy that she thought, she's going to tear the house down. So I started dancing school at 2 and a half. And by the time I was 3 and a half and we got discovered, my mother it was overwhelming to her because she was a great cook, seamstress. She could stucco a wall. She could fix electrical and plumbing problems. My sweet dad said, if you can't fix it with glue or a gym clip, they called them, a paper clip, it's not worth fixing. So here she was with all this sudden excitement going on, and she was shy. I was not. I am now, terribly shy now. But she was very shy, and she had this kind of haughty, dignified, she was 5'8", and kind of an aloofness about her that scared people a little bit. But inside, she was scared because she didn't know what she was doing.
She was a little intimidating at times to folks.
Yeah, which I thought was neat.
When your mom took you to your first auditions, did the studio execs see the star quality right away?
I don't think, even I didn't. I looked at a tape of one of my earliest performances in Baby Burlesques.
How old were you then?
I was 3½. And the mothers were not allowed on the set. So I was on my own. And if I had seen this child, I would not have said there was any future for her. I was really corny.
But who discovered you? Who saw?
Well, it was at a premiere of, well, my little Baby Burlesque was in the premiere. And a man from Fox came to the premiere to see the other film. And afterwards, he came out in the lobby. And I was kind of tap dancing under, looking at next week's movie that was coming. And he said, little girl, where's your mother? And so I pointed and kept on dancing. Anyway, I got discovered that way.
Was this William Sheehan? Was this?
No,
that wasn't.
That Winnie Sheehan was his name. No, this was a man at Fox Studio, and he had me come over to audition there.
Now, you had to, at a very early age, learn lines, learn how to dance.
Well, I knew how to dance.
From Mrs. Miglin.
Yes.
Right.
Basic.
But I mean, didn't you have to learn steps and things? Later on, we'll get into
Sure.
the man who taught you a lot of the steps, who was
my favorite, right?
Your favorite person, right. But your mom would take the script home at night, and what would she do to prepare you?
Well, after the bath and after the prayers, I would be in my bed, and she would sit down on a chair next to my bed, and if it was a new script, she'd read the entire script to me, playing all the parts. And then we would do just the scenes for the next day and just go over those 3 times. And she'd play the other parts and I'd play my own. And by morning, I'd just know it cold.
But you knew the whole script.
I
mean, you knew the other actors' lines, too.
Right.
Did that ever tick off the adult actors?
Yes, particularly Lionel Barrymore, who, I mean, I took on a biggie when I took him on. And this was in The Little Colonel, and he missed his line completely. And I said, Uncle Lionel, this is what your line should have been. Wow, I mean, temperament. You have never seen anything like that.
What did he say?
He had a very fruity smell to his breath, number one.
Ah.
I'm sure it was fruity Tic Tacs or something like that.
And he took off. I don't think I can say what he said, but I had, you know, I almost had to be sent home because you're not allowed to swear in front of minors.
Is that true? There was somebody on set that kind of...
My welfare worker, my teacher, yeah. And I'd be sent home. I'd be all ready to work, and they'd send me home because someone said something. Anyway, he took off, went into his dressing room, closed the door, and told the director and the producer that he would like me removed from the film. I had insulted his great acting, you know, all that. So anyway, I had to go in and knock on his door.
By yourself?
By myself.
Now, how old are we talking?
I'm about 6, 6½. And I went in, and there were a lot of fruit bottles around. Back to that. I noticed that. He was also painting a picture. I mean, he was a great artist. He was a great actor. And I said, Uncle Lionel, I have to apologize for doing that. And I said, you're just such a great actor. I'm crossing my fingers because I didn't know whether he was or not. You're such a great actor. Will you please autograph my autograph book? So all was forgiven.
You say that you could not swear in front of a young one or the welfare worker. There would be problems.
I didn't swear. It's if someone else
that
did.
Lionel Barrymore did, and there's a problem.
Whatever.
You were swearing later, weren't you?
Nope, never needed it.
But how did they allow the black box then?
The black box was when I was a starlet. That was back in the Baby Burlesques, from 3½ to age 5.
Why don't we take a commercial break and come back and explain
You
the
always
black
do that. I've watched the
box.
show. I know. I figured it was about time. Okay.
We'll be back. More of Shirley Temple Black after this.
Are you really and truly my parents now?
We're the best you've got, darling.
Son Lo says a child without parents is like a ship without a rudder.
Son Lo ever say anything about little girls going to sleep?
Oh, yes. He said, sleep without dreams is given to children for their innocence and old men for their wisdom.
Well, off you go then.
I'm almost too excited to sleep, but I'll try.
Good night.
My dear radio audience, now I shall do some of the songs I've had the pleasure of introducing to you. It was not so very long ago when you heard this little ditty on your radio. On the good ship, Lollipop, it's a sweet trip to a candy shop where Bun Bun play on the sunny beach of Peppermint Bay.
You know all those words.
I have the longest memory. I'm one of the oldest living Americans, and I have one of the longest memories.
Tell us the truth. You go around the house now and then singing that, don't you?
No way.
You never do, huh?
No, I'm in international relations the last 19 years.
Yes.
Heavy stuff.
And we'll talk about that
This
in a
is
little
fun
bit.
today, and it's nice to be back in my home, my
Yes,
home area.
You've been on the road with this book.
About 9 cities.
Oof.
Lots of love, lots of affection, not much sleep, and no lunch every day.
Let's talk. You were
Let's
just
talk about the black box, is what you started to say, right?
Oh, see.
What is your
I shall
question?
say no more. In fact, I'm going to just go home and phone this in. Tell us about the black box.
Well, during my starlet time at 3.5 to 5, there were 2 sound boxes on our set. One was a great big black box, about 6 feet by 6 feet on a side on big rubber tires. And the other one is where the engineer mixed the sound. They didn't get the noise of cameras and all that way. The other one was empty, and except for a big cake of ice. And if one of us misbehaved, and I was in there several times, I would be put in the black box alone with the door closed, and it's pitch black, and there's nothing but a big cake of ice, so you can't sit down. You don't want to. You can't lie down because it's kind of wet on the floor, so I'd stand in there. And I would learn from that it's work, not play, and time is money.
So you did not see that as child abuse? Or adult?
I didn't. I didn't know what child abuse was because my family bathed me in love. I did know that I got earaches and colds from being in the black box.
How long were you in there?
I don't know, probably a few seconds.
Oh, not...
Or a few hours, you know. But it was kind of, this was the starlet time, and I think that I learned my craft at that early age so that when I finally got to be a star at about 5.5, then I was ready for it, and everybody treated me beautifully, you know.
Could you cry on cue?
Yes. My mother, you talked about stage mother. We watched other mothers pinching their children to get them to cry, maybe hitting their children to make them cry, or telling them that their dog had died, or their dog had just been shot, you know, awful things. And Mother and I were so astonished by this. And what we did, we'd go in the dark part of the soundstage, and all I would do is be quiet and make my mind blank, which wasn't hard because I didn't have much in it anyway. And once I could get a blank mind, I could cry. I still can do it.
Can you really?
Yes.
So right now, if I said, go blank.
It might take, I can go blank in a second. At age 60, I can go even faster. But really, I think I was kind of an early method actress. I think that's probably what method actors do. Never had any formal acting, I don't know.
As you look back, what were the working conditions? I mean, you had the black box. How many hours would you have to work?
They took advantage. They kept the mothers out in another room. That's the only time my mother was away from me. When I told her about the black box, by the way, in the car going home one day, she said, "Oh, you have such a vivid imagination." She just couldn't believe anyone would do anything like that. The working conditions for the kids were, I guess, adequate, but I had some wild times, like when the ostrich, do we have time?
Yeah,
The ostrich story?
Oh, sure.
Okay. Well, again in the Baby Burlesque, I was riding with my co-star Georgie Smith, who was a darling little boy. Wonder where you are, Georgie. I'd like to see you again. But Georgie Smith and I were in a little cart behind a live ostrich, and they put a bag over the ostrich's head until it was time for the camera to say speed. So they pull off the bag, and the ostrich looks around, looked at us first, and he had an eye on one side like a glass baseball, black, this great big eye. And he looked and saw us and saw the lights and the cameras and went crazy. He took off, knocked over lights, knocked the camera crew all over the place, and finally slammed into a wall and knocked himself out. But also he tipped the cart over and we fell out. And I thought about it then, and I thought, but how many kids get to ride behind an ostrich?
That's true.
But there's another story in the book about the crane.
Oh, the crane.
The crane that was...
He liked my eyes himself.
that they...
That was on Captain January, and the crane was we were both supposed to be doing a jig, and the crane looked at my eyes, and we were the same height, and he wanted to eat them.
They go for the eyes,
They go for the eyes.
Yeah.
So after the studio saw what he wanted to do, can I tell this
Well, you do.
inhumane story? They nailed the crane's feet to the floor. Oh. Yeah.
But they said that...
Just one nail through.
The little webs.
Didn't hurt him, the web part.
Oh.
And he still wanted my eyes more than ever.
Yeah.
What did you do, Shirley, when you lost your teeth?
Well, I was the star. I mean, the crane...
Yeah. Was an extra, wasn't he?
I mean, I'd had a hard time early, you know. This was his first movie.
Let him suffer a
Let
little
him
bit.
fly away, you know.
What did you do at that young age when you lost your baby teeth?
There was a dentist, kind of a secret dentist. We'd go up to Hollywood someplace and go up a stairway and go 3 knocks on the door. And he made little plates and little false teeth and little facings, because when the tooth starts growing back in, then you have to put a facing over it, you know, with glue, with cement stuff. And that was a lot of fun, so, yeah.
So you were wearing false teeth
Of course.
At the age
young
of-
age.
Well, forever it seemed. I mean, all my childhood, I mean, they were dropping out like flies. That's a bad simile. They were dropping out all over the place.
We're going to have to take a commercial break. I know this surprises you.
What?
The commercial break that
Oh,
we're going
yes,
to take right now. And we'll be back right after this.
I'm surprised.
I am not her child. She's a bad lady. She tried to dump me to the gypsies. Please, please let the grandfather take me home. He didn't mean to do anything bad. I'll work hard and pay back for everything he broke.
Join us in our studio audience. For your free tickets, call 478-KPIX. That's 478-KPIX.
Oh, we're having a wonderful morning with Shirley Temple Black. And that man, Bill Bojangles Robinson, was a very important person in your life, wasn't he?
Bill Robinson was the biggest star I knew, the best dance teacher, and I had a lot of good ones, and the best friend in the business, and as a personal friend.
Tell us about...
He goes all through my book and all through my life until he dies.
You did, was the Little Colonel, where you did
We
the
did
stair...
about 7 together, but the Little Colonel was the stair dance.
Was the stair dance. Now, was that the one where, in some parts of the country, they cut out the shots of you holding his hand?
Anytime our hands touched, in the deep south of our country, this is pre-civil rights, don't forget, they would cut out those scenes. No touching. And of course, Bill and I, the only way we could dance together is holding hands, because he said, now don't look at your feet, darling. And I'd listen, and I learned really by listening, and he was super. We had some kind of chemistry.
Were you ever aware of
There
those?
you are.
What happened to Ross?
I wondered where Ross went.
Were you ever aware those scenes were cut out?
No, I didn't know it until I did research on myself.
Were you ever aware of any racism toward Bill in a studio atmosphere?
Not at the studio, because he was a very proud man, very dignified, took care of himself. But I did notice it when I went to Palm Springs. I had a cold. Every time I got a cold, the studio would send me to the desert, which was fun. You know, I liked that. And I was staying at the Desert Inn in Palm Springs in little cottages, and Bill was sent down to teach me a very intricate dance that was added to a film. So I asked Bill, I said, "What cottage are you staying in?" Because there were about 100 and some cottages. And he said, "Oh, don't worry where I'm staying, darling." I said, "No, I want to know. Where are you staying?" Finally, he said, "Well, darling," he said, "I'm staying in the chauffeur's quarters over the garage." And I said, "Why are you staying there?" And he said, "Oh, don't worry, darling. I'm there with my chauffeur." But that was bad. Then I started getting the idea of what was wrong. I was colorblind and always have been. But
we talked somewhat about the relationship you had with your mother. What was your relationship with your father?
Very loving. He was lots of fun. He would never discipline my brothers or me. He would tell Mother what we'd done wrong, and then she would have to do the discipline. But he was loving the whole family. We were my brothers, and we were all very close. But Mother and I were at work all day, every day, and mostly we had family dinners that night, every night.
Now, your dad was, for all intents and purposes, in charge of your finances.
Mm-hmm.
How did he do with them?
Not too well. My dad was a man who left school in the 7th grade. And he did become a bank manager, and he was a good banker during the Depression, which is, you know, pretty hard to do anyway. And he had to leave the bank because mothers were bringing their children in to tap dance on the marble floor to get discovered.
And talk about the mother who offered him.
He was offered a stud fee to have another Shirley. And Mother was ushered into his office. This is our first day on the lot. And I was ushered into Arthur Freed's office. And he wanted to talk to me about doing a film that he was going to be producing.
How old were you at that
I was
time?
12. And he was seated behind the desk, and I was trying to be, you know, I was so excited because he had produced The Wizard of Oz that I hadn't been in. And so suddenly he had kind of a flourish of his clothing, and I had thought he was a producer, but it turned out he was an exhibitor. And I had never seen anyone naked in my whole life except myself, so I had no clue. And I thought he looked so funny, if you'll pardon me, that I burst out laughing, heavy, with tears, you know, just ha, ha, ha. And he was infuriated, and he said, "Out, out, out, out." So that was the end of my opportunity to work with him, thank goodness.
But while this was happening to
Well,
you...
I met my mother in the lobby of the administration building, and she was very quiet, and I was very quiet, and we got out to the car. And on the way home, I said, "Mom, you got to tell me something. You know, I don't know what I saw." And I told her what had happened, and she was kind of quiet, and she took my hand, and she said, "Well, wait till you hear what happened to me." And in Louis B. Mayer's office, he had ushered her to his couch and came over and sat on the couch and took her hand and said, "You know, you are a beautiful mother, and you should be a star. I can make you a star." And he put his hand on her leg, and it wasn't mano morte, it was a moving hand. And so she got up with her purse and backed out of his office. And we thought, wow, this is a new studio, but it's very different from Fox. I was only there for one film.
And George Jessel, you had some
I
problems
was 20
with, too.
then, though. I mean, my goodness, all grown up.
You knew what to do when you were 20, though. The knee.
My brother,
action.
one of my brothers taught me to knee anybody who did things like that. And Jessel and I were the same height. So he really was hurt, I think.
There was a young man, though, who kicked sand in your face and was a bully. We won't tell him who it is now. We'll take a commercial break. When you come back, we'll find out about that bully.
From Harlem
believe in your kids when they've done something right. But the true test of your love and faith is to believe in them when they've done something wrong. Can you imagine the possibilities?
Join us in our studio audience. For your free tickets, call 478-KPIX. That's 478-KPIX.
There was a bully, a young man who kicked sand in your face on a beach.
He's in the book, yes. In Child Star, the man's name was John Ehrlichman. We were little kids, and he was sort of a bully back then.
And you met him years later?
Many times, yes, when he was working at the White House, and he was very good to me, helped me get my job actually as a delegate to the Human Environment Conference in Sweden.
Did you ever bring it up to him that he had been
Yes,
a
at
past
the
bully?
conference in Sweden, yes, I did.
And what was his reaction?
Wasn't pleased with my memory.
And we've all heard of Linda Evans, Bo Derek, Ursula Andress. You were one of John Derek's first girlfriends.
Yes, his name was Derek Harris, and it was changed to John Derek. And he taught me how to drive, stick shift. And he was very romantic until he gave me a present for a birthday. And I think I cut it out of the book. I may not say it. Anyway.
It was quite a present?
It was unusual.
It was.
In what way?
I can't talk about it. I had to cut it out. After the show, we'll talk about
in the commercial break, perhaps.
Anyway, he liked me a lot. I know what I can tell you. He painted a picture of me, dead. He painted a picture where I was all blue with snake hair kind of under the water. That's when my mother said I couldn't go out with him anymore.
You got married at 17.
Yep.
Was it to kind of get away?
Very dumb reason. I wanted to be the first girl in my graduating senior class in high school to be engaged and to get married. I mean, that's not a great reason. Someone else did that too, right?
But
thinking about it.
And the man was John Agar, who was also an actor. Did your
He wasn't when I met him. He was a sergeant in the Air Force.
But went into acting out. I remember him in She Wore a Yellow Ribbon.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. But did your tremendous popularity and success ever cause tension between the two of you once he got into the business?
It was very hard on him. And he also drank too much. And he also liked long-legged women. And, you know, why did he marry me? 5'2½". And 10 days after we were married, still on our honeymoon, he was dancing with a starlet at a party that we went to, a beautiful, long-legged blonde, and they were locked in a kiss on the dance floor, and everybody was watching me to see my reaction, and I didn't know what to do. I stayed cool. You know, I just stayed calm. And on the way home in the car, I said, you know those long-legged people with 19-inch waists, they have 19-inch heads and very small brains, too. That didn't work. Anyway, 4 years we were married, and I tried to solve this because I'm a problem solver, and couldn't. And so did get a divorce.
Let me ask you a question. Did the studio ever try to discourage your marriage? Because I know with some of the other stars, like Katherine Grayson and things like that, they said,
No.
We don't want you married because...
No, David Selznick. I was under contract to David Selznick at that time, and he was all for it. In fact, he's the one that gave John Agar the chance to be a movie star. And Selznick also tried to sign up my baby before she was born. It was for he, she, or them. I looked like I was going to have them, you know. And he wanted to put the baby under contract, which, of course, I didn't do.
You wanted to, Betty, here, stand up here. You wanted to make a comment.
Feels like a tennis match when I go here.
53 years ago, there was a 4-year-old laying in the hospital dying. Your very kind and gracious mother found out about it, and I started receiving letters and pictures
Was
from
you?
you. It was me. I survived. I
Isn't
still
that
have
wonderful?
Let's
You
show the
still have
picture that was
picture?
sent.
That wonderful.
Oh, I'm so glad.
And this picture says, "To Betty Ann, love, Shirley Temple."
My gosh.
Needless to say, we've loved you for a long time.
Thank you. I'm glad you're here, Betty. I'm glad I'm here, too.
Thank you.
More with Shirley Temple Black after this. Yeah.
Whenever the marches play, every march you love to see a soldier parade.
Somewhere in all these dusty law books, a great idea got lost. The idea that law's for people, and people should be able to afford it. At Hyatt Legal Services, we took the fear out of legal fees. You can consult with one of our lawyers for just $20. And for cases like divorce, wills, accidents, and bankruptcy, we tell you our fee up front. I'm Joel Hyatt, and you have my word on it. We took the fear out of legal fees across the country and in your neighborhood.
This is Rachel. She's a miracle. But of course, I'm a little biased because I'm her mother. The most miraculous thing about her is that she's a healthy baby. There are a lot of things you can do during a pregnancy to make a miracle happen for you. Eat a balanced diet. Don't smoke or drink. Only take the drugs your doctor prescribes. And get regular prenatal checkups. Miracles can happen if you just take the time.
For information about today's guests, call the People Are Talking hotline at 478-8888. So much to talk to you about. The assassination attempt on you.
You want me to do that?
Well, can you explain it for us? We
do have time, because I'd rather talk about my husband, but that's all right.
Well, let's just say somebody, when you were very young,
sat
aimed
in
a
an
gun.
audience, and she was going to shoot me because she said, after they carried her out, the authorities, she said that her daughter had died the day I was born, and I had stolen her daughter's soul. Well, what she didn't know, the studio had taken a year off my age, so it was the wrong soul anyway.
She did try to.
Yeah.
Shirley.
Yes, Shirley. I would love to hear about your family, your children, where they are.
Thank you.
If you have grandchildren.
Well, I married Charlie Black December 16th, 1950.
So handsome.
And we're going to be celebrating the start of our 39th year of marriage this next December. He's a super guy, part Cherokee Indian, about 1/4, and a marine biologist, aquaculture, all that sort
Is it true that he was dropped from the social register because he married an actress?
Of course.
Is that
We don't care.
Now that we have a new president-elect in George Bush, is there a possibility you'll be going back into becoming an ambassador or being appointed to some position?
I've always loved working for my country and serving my country. I'll be delighted to serve again. I've known George Bush since 1970, met at the UN, and met him through all his incarnations. And he doesn't know it yet, but I'd like to be the director of the United States Information Agency, which I think someone else is up for who's more important.
Oh, I don't think anybody's more important than Shirley Temple Black, and this is her book, Child Star. We want to mention that you can meet this lady in person today. She'll be at Stacy's Bookstore on Market Street here in San Francisco at 12:30, and I believe down in the South Bay at the Prune Yard, a lady over here mentioned, from like 6 to 8 tomorrow night.
That's tomorrow.
All right. Thank you for
Yes,
being with
thank
us.
you.
A delight having you on our program. Shirley Temple Black.
Go! Go for the gold.
Ceremony Nissan's year-end gold tag sale.
The all-new 1989 Nissan Maxima. 4-door luxury with full leather interior.
Gold tag price from only $17,989.
If you're a qualified first-time buyer.
You can drive a new Nissan Sentra with no money down and low monthly payments.
Or choose Nissan 240SX. Gold tagged only $199 per month. Lease with purchase option.
Year-end gold tag sale this week only.
It's Ceremony Nissan at the Ceremony Auto Plaza in Colma, Daly City.
Over 55,000 Ceremony customers can't be wrong.
It's the Good Guys year-end store-wide clearance and sale. The holidays are over, and the Good Guys have plenty of brand name inventory left over, marked down and ready to clear out. Sony, Zenith, Pioneer, savings in every category. JVC, Panasonic, Kenwood. Quantities are limited, so it's first come, first served. Mitsubishi, Toshiba, and Sharp. It's all there. An unbelievable selection with a guaranteed low price. It's a year-end store-wide clearance and sale going on now, only at the Good Guys.
Denise was a single mom on welfare when she came to Heald Institute of Technology. Now Denise is working for a large organization, fixing their computers. She's a professional now, making about $25,000 a year. It can happen to anybody with just a phone call to Heald Institute of Technology. I wish I could talk to every woman out there and tell them that electronics is a career field that can provide you with the things you're looking for. And it's not a career field that's just for men anymore.
The lowest prices of the year at Levitt's.
What a sale. Levitt's showrooms are loaded with bargains. For example, only $298 buys this striking floral print sofa. Only $387 buys this oak-trimmed acrylic velvet sofa. And only $488 buys this Euro-style Leathermate sofa. All on sale at Levitt's lowest prices of the year.
You'll love Levitt's.
Sometimes people blame the problems of the world on the fact that we're all so different. Well, imagine a world where everyone is the same. Same color, same culture, same beliefs. It would be easy to understand each other then. But imagine how boring and bland the world would be. So don't imagine a world where we're all the same. Imagine a world where we're all treated the same, even though we're different.
She is a nice and she is a bright woman, and I wouldn't be surprised if she got a job in the Bush administration.
I wouldn't be at all surprised either. Well, tomorrow morning on People Are Talking, we're going to rebroadcast the show we did this past fall live from Berkeley High School. Whether it's drugs, violence on campus, racism, or what's really going on in the classroom, these kids didn't hold back. The real scoop inside an urban high school tomorrow morning at 10.
Have a great afternoon, enjoy the holidays, and we'll see you back here tomorrow. Many of People Are Talking's guests enjoy dinner at Let's Go, one of San Francisco's most beautiful restaurants. Ann's Clothes provided and coordinated by the personal shopping office of Neiman Marcus, Union Square.
Ross's Clothes by J. Briggs of San Francisco.
Guests of People Are Talking stay at the luxurious Ramada Renaissance Hotel, 2 blocks from Union Square. The People Are Talking audience has enjoyed pastries by Just Desserts.